Hi folks, welcome back. While I'm currently incapacitated with myocarditis and having to take complete rest, I'm afraid we're on talking videos. So today, it's been 6 months since I started going to the gym. So I thought today we'd have a chat about it, why I did it, what I did, what sort of results I saw, what I'm going to do next, mistakes are made. Okay, so I hope you'll follow along. Okay, so where should we start? I guess we start with why I'm doing it. So if you actually are connected to the internet, which you are because you're watching this, you can't have failed to have seen all these fit people, muscular people, young, not all young. You do see smaller people who were competitive when they were younger and are still maintaining it. And some people who are, that's all they do. They are really, really, really into it. So you get some that are muscular and you get others that are really into it for the strength part of it, being able to drag a lorry. But that's not why I'm doing it, neither of those things. And one of the first things you realise when you do go into the gym is that's not what most of the other people are in there are doing it for either. Yes, you do see people like that in the gym, both of those types of people, but the vast majority of people in the gym are like you and me. So why? Why do it? Okay, well, here's a little experiment for you. I'm guessing you're sitting in a chair right now watching this video. Just do this. Stand up. Okay, give you a minute. You up? Right, sit back down again. Let me just ask you a question. Did you have to hold on to the arm of the chair to push yourself up? Did your body make an involuntary noise when you both stood up and sat down? That's reason enough to go to the gym. As you get older, your muscle mass starts to drop off a bit, and if you don't do some strength training, you end up weak, unable to get out of a chair. Leave it long enough into your older age, you'll end up with your gait being unsteady, and you get to the point where you fall over. Just general things in life, carrying the shopping, mowing the lawn, all these sort of tasks get harder as you begin to lose muscle mass. Also, for those of you who do some sort of exercise, whatever your sport is, you'll notice that you start to get injured, you're into the physio more, things like that, having to work in, all sorts of stretches. So for me, the thing I get these days, or had been getting, was piriformis syndrome. So if you think of running it as a kinetic chain, you've got all these muscles that have to fire in order for you to be able to run. Well, one of the problems you can get when you're older is lazy glutes, the bum muscle. I'm driving with my thighs rather than my buttocks, and the buttock muscle shrinks down, and then because it's you lose muscle mass on there. When I do a longer effort, that muscle gets very tight and the sciatic nerve runs down between it, and that causes pain in my hip and down my leg. So I've already worked in stretches and drills like high kicks and things into my cool down after running, but really the cure, I figured, was probably to build up that muscle. But I don't just do I don't just go to the gym and go, right, I'm just going to work my glutes. I do everything because it's all weakening and it all needs work. So yeah, that's why I'm doing it. I joined the local Everybody gym. It was really quite reasonable, really, and there are a lovely group of people in there. And okay, so actually, what do I do in the gym? Most of the people you see in the gym lift a heavy weight, but it's not the only way to do it. Basically, you can gain just as much muscle mass from what I've read with a light weight. The key thing is to exercise to failure. And of course, using a lighter weight means you are not putting as much stress on your old bones and joints. So I think it suits an older person. So, so take for example, someone doing a press with dumbbells. I see people, they go in, they'll pick up a 20, a 24 or whatever kilo weight, and they'll do it. Whereas what I will do is start. So when I started with the lightest weight on the rack, a 2 kilo weight for everything. Now I have moved slightly further up the rack now, but still super light. So I would probably start on chest with a 6 or an 8 kilo weight, and I do supersetting. So I'll work through a series of, for that muscle group, I'll work through a series of exercises. So for chest, it's a press, and then it's an inner press, a crush press, and then a fly, and then I stand up to do a crossbody raiser, which gets the inner and the upper chest, and then the one over the head, that one as well. And then at that point so I do that, 20 of each with very little break. And then once I've done 4 or 5 sets in a row on that muscle group, even with a super lightweight, that muscle is screaming for mercy. And so then what I do then is swap up to another muscle group that's fresh. So I tend to couple 2 muscle groups in a day. So it might be chest and back, or chest and arms, or chest and shoulders. It depends which muscle is feeling most rested that day. So I'll then swap and do the other muscle group, the same thing, 3, 4, 5 exercises, 20 rep sets with very little break. And then by the time I've done another 4 or 5 sets, that muscle's screaming for mercy, but the chest is recovering a bit. So then I pick up the next weight on the rack and repeat, and then going down. So it might be 16 reps from that, the next weight, and keep going, doing that until I get to the point where I'm just pushing 4. So I'm reaching failure, but I'll reach failure. If I were to have just gone heavy immediately, I'd be lifting a heavier weight than the failure point I reach when I get to 4, because I've already done so many sets. So that's what I do in the gym. And I do predominantly dumbbell stuff. I'm not really comfortable with using the bar, even with a rack, because I work out alone. Also, concerns about high blood pressure and things like that is static lifts, and all that sort of stuff. I just avoid it. That's because that's just where I am in my life right now. That's in the gym. Diet, I did change my diet, and if I have a regret so far, it is that I changed my diet. So I'm not going to lecture you on diet. Do whatever diet works for you. In my case, cutting out sugar from my diet is the key. Without that, I have the sugar shakes. I'm constantly hungry and driven to eat carbs, which is really, I end up massively fat and unable to do anything if I do that. So I cut all that out, and I've been doing, for the last well, how many years, I don't know, 5 years, I've been doing keto, which works really well for me in that it's there are tons and tons of keto recipes. You can pretty much anything you might think of making, you can make on keto. Most of the time, though, I do tend to stick to simple foods, high satiety foods, eggs, omelettes, meat, some butter. I have nuts, seeds, and then limited amounts of things that I've got a little bit more carbs in, like berries, raspberries, black currants, gooseberries, things like that. Lemons and limes. And cheese, I have cheese, but I try to not eat too much cheese because it is quite easy to eat a lot of cheese. And so I have quite simple food most of the time. However, if I want something, rather than being tempted by all the stuff that everybody else is eating, I will cook something. So I can make a cake, a trifle, ice cream, whatever I fancy I can make. But they tend to be specials. It tends to be the weekend. Anyway, I digress. When I came into weight training, I was looking at, trying to get as much protein in as possible, because to maximize muscle growth, you want, what is it? Is it 0.7? Basically, you need protein, and it goes, if you look at the graph of muscle growth based on how much protein you're eating, it's a straight line going up to a point, which is about 0.7 of your, how many pound, 0.7 per pound of how many total pounds of body mass, is that it? I've probably got this wrong, and I'll put a comment on top. Right, but it goes up, and then beyond that, there's little benefit, and you're just going to get fat. But I was shooting for that, and it's actually quite difficult to get that much protein in, and I didn't want to just start eating. I didn't want to just start eating whey protein or these sort of artificial foods. I wanted to eat real food, so I upped the amount of meat I was eating and cut down on. So looking at things that I've got fat in that I would eat, I'm going, well, I'll eat cheese and nuts because they've got protein in, but other things I won't. I'll cut them out. And it just makes the diet a bit restrictive. And so eventually, occasionally you fall off, and that's not good. And also, I was getting some inflammatory response. I got gout, a couple of flare-ups of gout, which I hadn't had since I started keto. So, yeah, you do what you want. But personally, moving forward, I'll just stick to my normal diet. If the muscle mass, if it takes longer to grow the muscle, that's fine. So that's diet. Okay, so what are my experiences of all this? What happened? Well, I was quite surprised actually that I saw an effect really quite quickly. Within a month, my clothes fitted better. I felt more body confident, and I was seeing muscles toning up, like in particular my arms. And then by the end of the second month, then I was really starting to see muscle growth, biceps, shoulders, chest. I'm going, oh, wow, this is working. Because I wasn't sure how much muscle mass I'd be able to put on now, in my 50s. It does get harder as you get older. But no, it really did. And then by 3 months in, I was, my back was so much stronger. My shoulders were so much stronger. My arms, and of course, I don't habitually walk around with with a shirt off. But you do notice your arms, my forearms, my biceps, these, and people, people you should never judge people by the way they look, but I'm afraid it's human nature, people do. And when you talk to people, they can't help but notice that you've toned up that your arms are toned. I've noticed that people's attitude has changed a bit. So then moving forward, and then it's just a steady growth then. And 6 months in, am I absolutely rippling with muscle? No. But has my body shape changed? Have I got muscles and some definition? Yes, I have. I'm not six pack, and I never will, because I'm not really that build. And honestly, I think when I was younger, I might have done something like that. But now it just seems a bit silly to me. As long as you're at a healthy weight, that's it. And I say, you don't habitually walk around without your shirt on. So no, I'm not chasing anything like that. If you're trying to get down to be sort of super lean, what do they call it? Shredded. You're going to be walking around starving hungry all the time, losing muscle mass, and feeling weak. You see these people on stage competing as bodybuilders, but that bit where they get to the stage, they are, worn out apparently, because they're just cutting back so hard. No, that doesn't interest me. Really, what I'm trying to do is gain muscle mass, and it might take 2 years, 3 years, 5 years to reach a steady state, okay? And then to maintain that mass and to get to and stay at a sensible weight, nothing heroic. Come the zombie apocalypse, you want to have enough reserves to keep going for a few weeks, don't you? So that's that. So moving forward, what's next? Well, first off, I can't do anything right now. I've got this myocarditis. If I were to do exercise, push my heart rate up, I could permanently damage my heart, scarring tissue on my heart, damage the heart valves, end up with an arrhythmia, and also you can just it can kill you. You can just have a heart attack and die. So, yeah, I'm keen to do my exercise. I love running. I love walking. I love doing the gym, but I don't love it enough to die for. So I'm just resting right now. And unfortunately, that does mean my percentage muscle is going down. I mean, in just a couple of weeks, it's gone down a little bit. So I don't know. Honestly don't know at this point. It might be 3 months, it might be 6 months before the doctor signs me off and says, yes, you're okay now. You can go back to normal activity. We'll wait and see. I'm sure I will take the experts' advice on this one for sure. But when they do sign me off, I will go straight back and carry on doing exactly what I was doing before and build some muscle mass up. And because I feel good, it's body positive. The pain in my hips gone, and I just feel good. And it's little things. It's like things where you would normally be struggling to carry something heavy. It's now easy. It just makes a difference to your life. So I don't know. Is this enough to tempt you to go and hit the gym? It's difficult to get there. You've got to, my advice would be buy a year's membership for a gym. I think mine was, what was it, £300 or something for the year. That's a good incentive to get going. And then when you get in there, don't go mad. I would recommend using a lightweight you do a dumbbell workout. Perhaps I'll do a video going through all the actual exercises I tend to do. I can't really show you that right now because I'd die. Yeah, it really is beneficial. You'll feel better for it. So give it a try. I'm in my 50s and it's helping me. And I say that if you're in that gym, most of those people are just the same as you. They're, 40, 50, 60-year-old people, particularly if you go in the day. But you can go anytime. I mean, the gym I go to, it's open at 6 in the morning and it's open till 10 at night. So you can find a way to fit it into your schedule. For me, I like to do it first thing in the morning, get it done, feel great for the rest of the day. Okay, I hope that was interesting. We'll have a running video next week. I say there's still a couple of running videos that you've not seen prior to my illness. So next week's a cracker. Next week we're heading to up to Grange-over-Sands for a run up the coast. So do join us for that. I don't know, it's looking like I'm not going to be able to do anything for a considerable period of time now. And so I have a friend who runs, so I might get him to run a few and then I can just edit them together. We'll see. But keep watching. I'll try and keep putting out some content for you. Take care. See you later.